Let me ask you something. Have you ever gotten excited because a man finally texted you back? Oh man, this brings me back memories, you guys, I must say. Or maybe he remembered something small you said once, or because he gave you just enough crumbs to keep you hanging on. Sound familiar? And in that moment, you told yourself, this must be chemistry. We just have a connection. There's something here. But let's be real. That ain't chemistry, babe. That's the bare minimum. And we've been conditioned to confuse the bare minimum with love, with intimacy, and with proof that we matter. And today I want to break this all the way down, because once you stop romanticizing the bare minimum, you'll never settle for crumbs again. And I can promise you that, okay? So, as you guys know, I've mentioned, a former situationship that I dealt with for many years on and off Taz, right? And, I've talked a lot about, how I used to get really excited when I finally did hear from him, or, whatever the case may be. But, it would be a situation where, I would finally get a reply after months and weeks and months, depending on what the situation is, after, a period of silence, right? Or, for example, when he just give me just enough attention to make me think, okay, maybe he does care, or especially after, oh man, this is a good example. Like, there were plenty of times where I would go to visit him at his house, right? And, and then like usually the night after I, had spent some time with him from the night before, I would get a follow-up text like, hey, right? And, I would think like, oh, okay, well, I'm glad that he's, checking in with me, making sure I got home okay, this, that, and the third, right? And my body would light up, my heart would race, and I would call it chemistry, right? But then as time went on, all I was doing in reality, guys, was I was starving. And when you're starving, even crumbs taste like a feast. And let me tell you, that is not love. That's survival mode. And I know I'm not the only one, okay? Because so many women, oh man, especially, and as you guys know, even though I don't do tarot on here anymore, but I used to for about 5 years, but I still do tarot by request on Purple Ocean. You can find me as Divinely in Union on Purple Ocean if you do want a reading with me. But regardless, I've done about 1,000 readings, a little over 1,000 readings for people these last few years on there, right? And a lot of people I've encountered have, said this pretty much very similar things where, for example, they would be like, but he looked at me today, or, I seen him online, and, we've been out on dates, or whatever the case may be, right? He asked me about, a question about my life, or he sent a heart emoji, or, we were talking one day and then he disappeared. I don't know how he feels about me now. You guys know the drill, right? Especially if you watch tarot. But let me tell you, none of that stuff is love, okay? Especially if it ain't consistent. That's not commitment. That is actually crumbs. So I'm going to give you a little rundown. Let me educate you. Okay, you guys. All right. So number one, what chemistry really is versus crumbs. Crumbs, or AKA, you guys know my favorite phrase. This is what breadcrumb kings love to give, right? A breadcrumb king, this is what they do. They give you sporadic texts, last minute calls. They might remember one detail, or they could give you like short bursts of attention, right? However, the opposite, chemistry, right? Chemistry is consistency. It shows effort. The person shows up even when it's not convenient. They care about your world. They would ask you, questions about yourself, right? Without being asked, that sort of thing, right? Okay. That's the difference between chemistry and crumbs. All right. Number 2, why we romanticize the bare minimum. So when it comes to conditioning, many of us were taught to take whatever we could get, right? And a lot of it does come from upbringing. Okay. Scarcity mindset, believing love is rare. So we cling to even just scraps, unfortunately. And then nervous system dysregulation. The high of the crumbs feels like proof of connection when it's really just relief after deprivation. And then number 3, here's what the full yes looks like. Is that you don't ever have to wonder where you stand with that person. You don't have to question if you're enough. And you don't have to beg the bare minimum because that person's already giving you the full meal deal, okay? Like they're giving you freaking 12 tacos from, what do they call that meal deal? A Taco Bell? I don't even know. But you're getting the burger, the fries, and the drink, okay? Not just leftovers, not just a leftover burger that's been half eaten. Okay, you guys get the gist, right? So consistency, love, attention, and safety is the full meal of what you get, okay? So with that being said, you guys, I'm going to give you some practical tools that you can work with. All right. So, here's a journal prompt I want you to do. If you can put a few minutes of time to decide to do this. So the journal prompt is, what crumbs have I been calling chemistry? What would a full yes look like instead? And then I have an affirmation, and your affirmation is, I don't settle for crumbs. I am worthy of the full freaking feast, okay? And then here's your next action step. So the next time you feel excited by a freaking crumb or a breadcrumb king, okay, like a late night text after midnight or something like that, I want you to pause and I want you to ask yourself, would I accept this from a partner who truly loved me? I think that's something that would really benefit you. So, listen, sis, the bare minimum isn't chemistry. It's starvation. And you deserve so much more than being excited over crumbs. And that's exactly why I created my 28-day Decentering Men journal. Because it's not just about walking away from crumbs. It's about remembering that you are the damn feast. Okay? Every day inside for 28 days and beyond, of course. This journal will help you rebuild your worth, calm your nervous system, and stop chasing men who just give you just enough to keep you hooked. The link is below if you're ready to stop confusing the bare minimum with love and start choosing your own damn self instead. Because remember, chemistry isn't supposed to feel like starvation. It's supposed to feel like safety. And with that being said, man, you guys, I'm going to leave it here. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you check out all my links below. I have a ton of other helpful resources and books that you can check out as well. And I'll speak to you guys in the next episode.